From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
Daniels Roofing, licensed, bonded, insured roofing contractor. 45 years of generational expertise, offering a variety of roofing systems in the North State. Composition shingles, metal, tile, fire-safe wood shingles, and spray foam roofing systems. An energy-saving cool roof, perfect for commercial flat roofs and mobile homes. With other companies, you may get a foreman or a salesman, but with Daniels Roofing, you get Daniel. Call today for your free estimate. Daniels Roofing, 3 generations working hard to protect your home and business.
Good evening, everyone. Well, the weekend is upon us, and it looks like we are going to be looking at cooler temperatures, showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, but then warming up for next week. We've got a lot to talk about because it's not just the mountains that could be looking at some of these showers and thunderstorms, but even the valley may quite possibly get in on the action as well. But before we get into all of that, let's get you through Krueger's Quickcast, shall we, for your Friday, August 15th. Tonight, our temperatures will be dropping down somewhere in the mid-60s, give or take, for the valley. 50s for most of the higher elevations and mid-50s. Now, for the coast, I think eventually late tonight, early tomorrow morning, you'll see some showers. So you'll be looking at increasing clouds. Let's take a look at now out the door for tomorrow morning. And yes, it's illustrating the showers for the coast. Now, I think other places like western Siskiyou County, parts of Trinity County may see some showers by 8 o'clock in the morning as well. But I think the bulk of it will be on the coast and then working its way eastward throughout the day tomorrow. So you can see this big band of moisture, this stream of moisture coming in, has a lot of the characteristics of an atmospheric river, as much as I hate to say it, but it does. That being said, it's not going to produce a ton of rain over Northern California per se, but it is certainly an impressive storm system, especially for August. Now, we look at the severe outlook coming in from the Storm Prediction Center, and they typically tend to overdo it, but I think the bulk of the thunderstorms for tomorrow, at least for the first half of the day, will be for Trinity County, Siskiyou County, and the mountains of Shasta County. And eventually, as I mentioned, maybe even the valley getting in on that late in the afternoon and evening hours. And then you see the green to the east of the valley. I think that's going to be more of a Saturday evening, Saturday night type of event where you see the bulk of the rain there. Now, I want to show you what's known as the HRRR forecast model. And we're going to start with this, and then in our deeper dive, we'll compare the two to show you the differences. Because some forecast models are more aggressive with that potential for thunderstorms in the valley, whereas others aren't. All right, so let's take a look at the HRRR forecast model. So here we are, taking you into about 8 o'clock in the morning. There are the showers that we were talking about along the coast. As I mentioned, some of those could work its way into western Siskiyou County, maybe even parts of Trinity County as well. Then by midday, it's working its way slowly to the east. This is going to be a slow-moving system, folks, so it's going to take a while before some of that rain does arrive in some areas. So midday, western Siskiyou, Del Norte, Humboldt County, seeing some of the showers. Maybe even an isolated thunderstorm at this point, and even parts of northern Trinity County. By 3 p.m., central, western Siskiyou County, now the mountains of Shasta County, seeing some of that at 3 p.m. But you see how the valley is still dry, and really even east is still dry as well. Modoc County, Lassen, and Plumas counties. Then we take into about 6 p.m. You see what's happening now? The southern extent of this, it may be overdoing it. I'd say Red Bluff northward has the best chance. As you head south of that, the chances are slimmer. But to see a straight shower in Corning or Willows, maybe even Chico, not entirely out of the question. But for now, I'm going to keep that out of the forecast. But once again, even at 6 p.m., we're just not seeing much activity for Modoc and Lassen County or even Plumas County. Then we go into tomorrow night. This is Saturday night, early Sunday morning. You see what's happening? Now the valley, quite possibly seeing a scattered shower or thunderstorm, especially to the north, Red Bluff northward. And some heavier activity for places like northeastern Shasta County, around Bernie, eastern Siskiyou, Modoc County, starting to see more of that activity as well. So that's through midnight tomorrow night. And then you can see as we go into 3 a.m. on Sunday, now we're seeing it mainly to the north and east of the valley, but even the valley possibly early Sunday morning, seeing some of that activity, and then it kind of pushes to the north and east after that. So how much rain can we expect out of this, at least through Saturday night? Well, most of it, as you see, is to the central and western Siskiyou County and really west of the valley, but it's not very impressive. Now, there are some spots that could see some decent amounts of rainfall with brief periods of heavy rain. Now, that doesn't mean Mount Shasta itself is going to see close to an inch of rainfall, but there are spots in the Siskiyou County area that could possibly see close to an inch of rainfall. That might be overdoing it, quite honestly. And for the valley, yeah, sure, maybe a little bit of a light accumulation by 5 p.m. for the north end of the valley. Redding, maybe even Red Bluff. Might be overdoing it, though, for Alturas, for example, or even Bernie, for that matter. I think that those areas will most likely stay dry through 5 p.m. on Saturday. 8 p.m., again, you can start to see it kind of starts to push a little bit off to the east. All right, so for tomorrow, there you can see the best chances for thunderstorms. Trinity County, Siskiyou County, and then to the east of that, you can see those thunderstorms probably later in the day, Saturday into Saturday night. Again, I'm showing it dry in the valley, but places like Redding, Cottonwood, Red Bluff, maybe even Corning could see a stray shower or thunderstorm late in the day on Saturday. So let's take a look at your 7-day outlook for the valley. We're dry by Sunday really across the board here, and then temperatures continue to increase. You see how we're really seeing quite an increase in our temperatures, especially by the middle and latter part of next week. Now the coast, showers on Saturday, not so much on Sunday. Same thing for the inland areas. Trinity County, your best chances for thunderstorms will be on Saturday. Slimmer chances, but still a chance nonetheless on Sunday. Siskiyou County, I think your chances are going to be both Saturday and Sunday. Alturas, Modoc County, Saturday evening, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. Susanville, Lassen County, Plumas County, Saturday evening, Saturday night, and through the day on Sunday as well. And I think most of the activity for the eastern mountains will be in northern Lassen County on Sunday. Less activity to the south of that, and then drier and warmer going through next week. All right, that is as quick as I could get for your Krueger's Quickcast. Sometimes there's just a lot to talk about. And we've got more to talk about, folks. If you want to go into the deeper dive, we're really going to get into those chances for thunderstorms even for parts of the valley. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about a free 24-hour streaming channel that you have access to. Now, if you have Roku, Fire Stick, go to those app stores, search for Weather NorCal, and download the app. And you can watch the 24-hour channel whenever you want from your big screen TV. Now, you don't have to have Roku or Fire Stick. If you've got YouTube, right? YouTube, anywhere YouTube is available, including your smart TV. And it doesn't have to be Roku, Fire Stick. It can be any smart device that plugs into your TV, or your TV has YouTube most likely, as long as you're connected to the internet. You can watch the YouTube channel, the Weather NorCal channel. So search for Weather NorCal, subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're at it, and you can not only watch the 24-hour streaming channel, which is a great resource, but you can also on demand, because who wants to wait for the 5 o'clock news to watch the weather, right? You can watch the latest video forecast right from the comfort of your living room and your big screen TV. So check it out on YouTube as well. All right, here's a look at your fire weather forecast real quickly here, sponsored by Garmin's Tractor Service. So the winds are going to be picking up again tomorrow afternoon, but I'm not necessarily concerned about it this time around for both Saturday and Sunday afternoon. As you can see here, those winds are picking up from the south. And the reason I'm not concerned about it is because we've got higher humidity levels kicking in. In fact, it may feel a little bit more muggy than many of you are used to here around here, because typically we've got relative humidity levels in the 10 to 20% range. Look where they are tomorrow afternoon, 40 to even 50% range, especially up to the north. So you've actually got low fire weather risk, a little bit higher to the south because the humidity level is not quite as low. All right, then we take you into your Sunday, same situation. Now the humidity levels are, as you can see, are not going to be quite as high because we're starting to see things dry out on Sunday, but there will still be some available moisture, especially in the mountains, for those showers and thunderstorms to develop once again. But for the valley, now we're going to more of a, instead of low, to a moderate fire weather risk, but at least we're out of that high fire weather risk, which is where we typically are. So here's the area of low pressure right here. And again, this is the storm system that we would typically see in the middle of winter. So it has some of those winter-like characteristics. You've got an area of low pressure right here, kind of an atmospheric river type of situation right here, where it's tapping into that moisture over the western Pacific. And that moisture source is what's bringing the rain for the Pacific Northwest today, and will eventually give us some of that rainfall. But bottom line, not a gigantic rain producing system even for the Pacific Northwest, although they will see more than us, and even some snow above 8,000-9,000 feet. So there you can see again that atmospheric river type of connection that we have here. As we go into your Saturday, that shifts to the south, and now it's aimed more at Northern California, a very narrow band of moisture as as defined by an atmospheric river. You can clearly see that's what we kind of, again, that type of situation. But it's beginning to cut itself off from that source of moisture. So Mother Nature is turning down the spigot, if you will, and we're going to see a much smaller flow of that moisture coming on in. And then by Sunday, we're getting cut off from that altogether. But as I mentioned, we're still going to have some leftover moisture, but that's going to be enough for maybe some afternoon thunderstorms again on Sunday. And then by Monday, all bets are pretty much off at that point, because now we're back to the drier conditions over Northern California, and we're going to get hotter as well towards the middle and latter part of next week. So let's talk about the thunderstorm chances once again. Areas in green, as indicated by the Storm Prediction Center, is just saying, hey, there's a chance for thunderstorms. Now, it sometimes tends to overdo it and overspread it into the valley and to the east. So here's the timing is what I'm expecting looking at this. Off to the west here, chances for thunderstorms here for the first half of the day. By the late afternoon, early evening, say Corning, Red Bluff, Redding, northward, seeing that chance for thunderstorms developing late afternoon, early evening, possibly. Then by evening, overnight, it's here. So really, most of the day tomorrow, you're not going to see any activity here for eastern Shasta County, including Bernie, Susanville, Ayden, or Alturas, because it's going to hold off until Saturday evening, Saturday night. Then on Sunday, it looks like the bulk of the activity will be in central eastern Siskiyou, northern Shasta, northeastern, which would include Bernie, northern Lassen, and Modoc County. But to the south, southwest of that, this actually is a pretty good representation, if you ask me, of where most of the thunderstorms will be on Sunday. So let's take a look again at the hour-by-hour forecast from the HRRR forecast model. And I want you to just kind of take a mental note of where everything is. So 8 o'clock in the morning, here you can see the clouds coming in, even just beginning to see some of the clouds entering the north end of the valley. But where the bulk of the rain is, which is not that heavy, it's going to be in Crescent City, maybe around Eureka, Del Norte, northern Humboldt, but still fairly dry for everyone else. Now, there may still be a light shower western Siskiyou, even northwestern Trinity County, but for the most part, dry for everyone else. Then by midday, we're seeing another band right here begin to develop in western Siskiyou. Could start to see some lightning strikes and some thunderstorms developing at this point. Still some showers in Del Norte, northern Humboldt, and even around Eureka, midday on Saturday. Still not a lot of activity, though, for Trinity County yet. That'll probably hold off until the second half of the afternoon, or the first half of the afternoon, let's put it that way. So I think we could see some more development here than you're seeing, but still that chance. Still central and western Siskiyou County. Now take note, the valley is starting to see a little bit of activity trying to develop. Some convection is beginning to take shape here. But one of the things that I've mentioned in my earlier forecasts is how saturated is the atmosphere. Because the thing is, it's been very dry this week. So as the storm system moves in, we've got to saturate the atmosphere first before we actually start seeing that rain reach the ground. So anything we're seeing here will most likely be in the form of virga. It evaporates before it reaches the ground. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen here, but the clouds will be on the increase through the afternoon for the valley. But notice we're really not seeing much cloud cover or rain, for that matter, off to the east of the valley at this point. Okay, now we're going to take it about 6 p.m. on Saturday. Now we're seeing that line in Trinity County, central and maybe even eastern parts of Siskiyou County. But look at this. Now we're seeing more of this convection begin to develop. Now at this point, I still think a lot of this will be evaporating, especially if it's this light. But once it starts picking up in intensity, we'll eventually see some of those showers making their way onto the valley floor as well. So I would say Red Bluff, Redding, maybe Corning, seeing a chance for some of the showers developing by late afternoon, early evening. I think it might be overdoing it here down into Glenn County, but that's one of those wait and see type of situations. Now notice it kind of flares up overnight. As we start going into Saturday night, early Sunday morning, you see eastern Siskiyou County. Now we're seeing around Redding, maybe an isolated thunderstorm as well, Bernie, but to the south, you see how we're not seeing as much activity? Now, I'd say maybe Red Bluff possibly getting caught up in some of that activity as well. Anderson, Cottonwood, City of Shasta Lake, Palisadro, Old Shasta, all of these areas have that potential to see it as well. But then you can see we're just starting to see it make its way into Modoc County. This is midnight. This is tomorrow night into early Sunday morning. Still not much activity out towards Lassen County based on this particular forecast model. 3 a.m. still maybe some activity here for parts of the valley before finally by about 6, 7, 8, 7 o'clock in the morning, most of that's out of the valley and you're seeing the bulk of the activity to the north and to the east. All right, so we went to a lot of detail there with the HRRR forecast model. I think this goes a little bit farther. No, it only goes to 6 a.m. on Sunday. Now let's take a look at a different forecast model, same time frame. So here it is, 8 a.m. Remember the HRRR was pretty much on par with this, although the HRRR had a bit more rain along the coast. And I think that's what the HRRR is pretty much showing here, that I think that's a better possibility. But still fairly dry. I don't think we're going to see much going on here just yet. By the time we get into midday, noon, all right, pretty good representation. But you see how it's not spreading very far to the south. Still not showing much activity here for the coast. I would say that as we go through the afternoon, chances for rain will diminish here for the coast. But still, I think a pretty good representation still. And also, you start to see a little bit of activity trying to develop here. This is when things start to differ a little bit. We're going to start to see some flare-up very quickly by 3 p.m. on Saturday based on this model. Now, I don't agree with this. I don't think they're going to be quite as intense as this. I think it'll start off in the form of some light showers that will most likely evaporate before reaching the ground on Saturday mid-afternoon. Could there be a stray sprinkle? I mean, if we kind of go in the middle between what's HRRR, remember HRRR just had some very light showers up and down the valley here, but nothing all that intense, nothing near what we're seeing here. And in recent storms that I've, in my experience, this forecast model tends to over-convect. And what that means is overdo it sometimes with just how strong the thunderstorms show to develop here. So I think it won't be quite as intense as this, but there may be some stray showers, I think, for places like Redding and Red Bluff. And again, we talk about how saturated is the atmosphere. We got to get it saturated first. Now, by 6 p.m., I think this may be a little bit of a better representation. Not as intense with any thunderstorms that should develop, but still looking at the potential for some light to even moderate rainfall for parts of the valley. Corning northward, but better chances for Red Bluff northward, and even Bernie. And there you can see off to the north and east, maybe some thunderstorms in Siskiyou. Maybe overdoing it, but I would say that by late afternoon, early evening, we could see some activity developing in parts of Modoc County. And then eventually shifting eastward into Lassen County as we go into Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Now look at this, midnight, you can still see the potential for some light activity here for parts of the valley once again by midnight. And as the air is at this point most likely saturated, you're talking about the potential for some light showers, maybe some drizzle, and maybe even off chance for a thunderstorm developing as well. But I think most of that will be confined to the north and east. Then remember, 6 a.m. on Sunday, it was pretty active here on the HRRR. This model not so active. So I still think that this is where we start seeing, even in the morning on Sunday, Modoc, Lassen counties most likely seeing some shower activity, even some thunderstorms developing by Sunday afternoon. There you can see Siskiyou County, especially in Modoc County and northern Lassen County, you're seeing the bulk of any thunderstorms developing, but dry to the south and west of that. But we are seeing some light activity here, western Siskiyou, and maybe even northern Trinity County, seeing the potential for some stray showers or even some thunderstorms. And then there's 6 p.m. on Sunday as most of that activity starts to move on out. And by Sunday night into Monday, this is all pretty much done with. You can see by 10 p.m. maybe some clouds, leftover light showers here and there, but by Monday we're really starting to dry things out. So once again, we take a look at some of those rainfall totals. This is going to take you through Saturday, 5 p.m. I think this is a good representation, maybe about a little bit of accumulating rain by 5 p.m. for the Redding area, very light. I think it's going to be after 5 p.m. that we start seeing better chances for that accumulating rain. This might be overdoing it. I mean, even if it's not going to be over Mount Shasta City itself, this still might be overdoing it. I'd say about a ½ inch on average for some of the heavier locations in Siskiyou County. But overall, you can see that I think that's where the bulk of the rain will be. Then we go into Sunday, through Sunday night, 10 p.m., it's seeing some light accumulation in parts of the valley. Now, some areas in the valley could see a little bit more than that, especially if you do see a stray thunderstorm develop. But overall, most likely less than a 1/10 of an inch of rainfall for places like Redding, Red Bluff, Corning, but I think that might be overdoing it even for Willows. But here you can see again, most of the rain, most likely in central and eastern and Siskiyou County, maybe overdoing it in the 1 to even over an inch in Dunsmuir, but you get the idea. I think that's where the bulk of the rain will be, and then maybe some light accumulating rain off to the north and east as well. So that's a look at the overall weekend. Be sure to keep checking in over the weekend. Of course, Chase Wilson will be here tomorrow morning. He'll also be here at noon and at 6 p.m. So you will get updates throughout the day on the latest should these thunderstorms begin to develop, and the latest on that forecast model data as well. I will, of course, be keeping a close eye on it through the day. We'll both be keeping a close eye on it and keeping you updated on social media as well. And should we need to cut in to programming, which is the 24-hour streaming channel, but if we need to cut in, certainly we'll do that if it reaches that level. But I don't think we're going to reach any severe levels with these thunderstorms. You're just going to be looking at the potential for some brief periods of heavy rainfall, lightning strikes, and maybe even some small hail. All right, so let's talk about the temperatures. So you can see this cooler air right here is just kind of hovering and hanging out here through the weekend. That's going to keep this heat off to our east and this heat off to our west, keeping our temperatures below normal, upper 80s, around 90 for the valley throughout the weekend. Then early next week, this, I was hoping and it looked like it was going to start to kind of migrate down to the south and east, but now it looks like this ridge of high pressure is going to overtake this more mild air. Especially as we get into the latter, you see what's happening? You see how it's pushing slowly to the west, and now we're seeing that ridge really start to build not only to our east, but even over us. And this, even though it is helping and it is preventing this from building in even stronger, it'd be nice if we could get this to push this a little more to the east, to nudge that heat more to the east, and our temperatures won't be as hot. But that being said, it is expected to be hot later next week. There's that nice dip in our temperatures this weekend into early next week before temperatures start to climb again, getting close to, if not right around 105 degrees, especially by the latter part of next week and into that next weekend. Taking a look at your wave heights, and you can see those wave heights are expected to increase as that storm system does approach on Saturday. And on Sunday, probably not going to see much improvement from that. At this point, no small craft advisories, but just be aware of that. You will see some showers and the potential for some patchy dense fog as well. All right, here is a look at your neighborhood forecast, brought to you in part by Dignity Health. Here's a look at Trinity County, where you've got the chance for thunderstorms. And the better chances for thunderstorms will be Saturday for Trinity County. Slimmer chances on Sunday, but then Monday, it's going to be warming up. Let's take a look at your Dignity Health North Coast neighborhood forecast. Showers on Saturday, but I think you'll be dry on Sunday. Temperatures in the mid-60s as we take you down the line through next week. Take you up to the north, 79 degrees for Orleans tomorrow, 80 in Hoopa, 83 for Willow Creek. And there you can see that chance for showers on Saturday, but I do think it'll be dry on Sunday, even for the inland areas, and warming up as we take you through next week. Your Dignity Health Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. 81 for Happy Camp though, and 73 degrees for McDowell. There's that chance for thunderstorms. I think both Saturday and Sunday, the Siskiyou County area will most likely see some of those thunderstorms entering the picture here, especially on Saturday. I think it'll be less coverage of that on Sunday. Modoc County, you can see a chance for thunderstorms both Saturday and Sunday, but I'd say this on Saturday. You're going to have to wait until the second half of the day, closer to the evening hours, and then Sunday, more afternoon thunderstorms on Sunday. So the better chance of the two will be Sunday as opposed to Saturday. And then, of course, for Alturas, you're looking at those temperatures increasing and drying out through next week. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, also same situation. I would say late in the day Saturday, Sunday has a better chance for thunderstorms. And when I say Sunday, mainly north of Susanville. South of Susanville, most likely not seeing much in the way of thunderstorm activity on Sunday. All right, let's take a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast, sponsored by Dignity Health. Your temperatures there will be in the mid to upper 80s. Yes, mid 80s for some of the cooler locations. I don't have any showers or thunderstorms for you in Oroville, but you do have a warming trend through next week. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast for Chico. Mid to upper 80s for Saturday, Sunday. Dry. Temperatures in the 80s and 90s by Monday, Tuesday, climbing up closer to 100 degrees by the middle and latter part of next week. Take you up to the north, about 91 for the city of Shasta Lake and Redding, 90 in Cottonwood, Red Bluff, about 89 degrees. And there you can see that slight chance for a shower, maybe even a thunderstorm by late in the day Saturday and into Saturday night. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Redding, temperatures in the upper 80s to about 90. By the time we get into your weekend and even into Sunday, Monday, temperatures slowly increasing after that. And for Redding, yes, a chance for a possible shower, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm here by late in the day Saturday and into Saturday night as well. That's your evening update. As I mentioned, be sure to check in with Chase Wilson over the weekend. He'll have all the latest on the potential for thunderstorms over the weekend in your 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. update on both Saturday and Sunday. Until then, and until I see you on Monday morning, have yourselves a great night and a great weekend.
Barr & Mudford is a top, established firm here in the North State. Founded over a half-century ago, Barr & Mudford is protecting the rights of our neighbors and community. We take our commitment to our clients very seriously and provide a level of excellence unrivaled in the North State. Barr & Mudford, standing up for the rights of our neighbors and our beautiful community, serving Northern California with excellence.